Welcome for this new A-Team broadcast. Tonight we have a couple of guests. Of course, the A-Team is here. I am Cyril, representing the A-Team account tonight because of our beloved Kemets can be there tonight, but we definitely say hi. We have Crypto Vester here. How is it going?
Good. How you doing, sir? Thank you for having me on here
Very
today.
good. Yeah, very good. We have Crypto Prophet as well. How is it going?
Hey guys, very good. Thanks.
Cool. And DeFi Advisor. What's up?
What's up, guys? Good to be on. So Passover here, and nice to see everyone. And start. For me, it's the beginning of the week. I know that you guys are in the middle of it already, but for me, it's the beginning of the week this time, and very nice to open it with you guys and with Convergence, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and obviously we have Wireshark from Convergence. How's it going, sir?
GM, ladies and gentlemen, doing good, doing good. Many thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Just a quick reminder about FX protocol because we may have some new audience here. So FX is a brand new protocol allowing you to farm ETH, BTC, and even LRT points with the stablecoin, which are perfectly stable, and or get liquidation-free leverage. And it's pure DeFi. It's all on-chain. So you may want to check this before we start talking about how Convergence can help you improve your yield on top of FX protocol. But let us take just a quick moment for the audience to join us and for me to tweet about the space quickly with the A-Team account. Please forgive me. This is the first time I host this space, so I'm just going to do my best, and I hope it's going to be seamless for you.
Yeah, it's okay. Maybe I'll jump in a little if it's okay, Cyril.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yeah, so maybe I think it's good to start these spaces with like a little recap so that like the average person who stumbles on it can like kind of catch up. And I would maybe say it a little bit like this, like before this point, Convergence, like originally, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, Wireshark, or add anything you want, of course, started as bit as like an governance black hole, like a black hole for governance tokens, and started with like Stake DAO, if I'm not mistaken. And now it's kind of evolving to more protocols, I guess, and there's lots of updates. Is this like a good summary, you'd say?
Yeah, that's a pretty decent summary, sir. Yeah, so like long story short, we are at the moment currently convex for Stake DAO. So we have a liquid locker for SDT. And by having this, we basically socialize the boost offered by VESDT to all the platform users. And so we boost the liquid locker yield, but also the LP yield. So yeah, and obviously we have the intent to directly integrate other protocols such as, the second protocol we'll integrate will be Convex. But yeah, through the Stake DAO integration, we are exposed to many protocols. So we have 8 liquid wrappers from Stake DAO integrated and boosted on Convergence currently.
Yeah, my favorite is obviously FXN, but yeah, that's really great actually, and I think it's also really interesting because even like if you look at a protocol like Convex that now like exists for quite a while, the way that it distributes the fees to the different kind of lockers, stakers, whatever, like you could even think of other balances to have that would still like be an interesting product to the mainstream. So I think in this kind of niche, there's still like a lot of how should you say, the innovation to be done actually, or like different weightings or stuff like variances like this. But I'm also kind of curious. You could say that you guys are at this point in time kind of like a convex for Stake DAO actually. So it's like an interesting choice to also become a convex for convex. Maybe you want to talk a little about that?
Yeah, sure. So there is some financial engineering to be done on Convex. Currently, we have 2 liquid lockers for Convex, 3 actually, but Ben Finance, I'm not sure they is still operating actually. So I'm going to focus mostly on Cleaver and Pyrex. And well, I definitely think there is some space for another locker which will have another design. And overall, the goal for the convex integration is to provide boosted yield for the CVX liquid locker while capturing the governance power of VLCVX that will be transferred to CVG, and thus CVG will be governing all the protocol that convex governs. And then there is some financial engineering to be done on the LP size on the convex Frax integration, because obviously, well, the goal of Convergence is to enhance LP yield. And as far as I know, except by doing auto compounding volt, I'm not sure that you can actually enhance the yield of convex for curve, but it's possible to do it for convex of Frax. You know, on Frax, basically you have two ways to boost your earning. Either you owning VEFXS, or you can lock the LP for up to 3 years, I believe. So the idea is that we're gonna create liquid lockers for Frax LPs max locked on convex. So basically, we'll use the convex layer to optimize the yield of LP that are accepted on Frax Finance in the Gauche system of Frax Finance. And usually for users, locking LP, it's a bit annoying, right? It's not like you lock a token. Locking an LP is a bit annoying. And that's why we think that creating liquid lockers for Frax LPs max locked on convex will definitely find a market fit, because users will be able to benefit from the fully boosted yield without having to have the LP lock themselves. And then we'll have stable pool for each Frax LP. But yeah, that's the design, and that's how we can actually boost convex yield. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some solutions.
Yeah,
couldn't you
sorry.
also just couldn't you also just add a layer of incentives on convex curve?
Yeah, we could be, obviously we could throw some CVG on top, but like if we don't optimize the native yield,
Sure.
it doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and as well, since we would boost the yield on the Frax LP side, we'll obviously take a cut on this, and we'll use this cut because we also gonna plug the CVX token staking. Like you'll be able to stake like CVX CRV and CVX FXS. And so we'll take a cut on the yield from Frax LPs to distribute it back to CVG CVX and CRV CVX CRV and CRV FXS and CVX FXS. Sorry. So this way, by boosting the Frax LP, we can actually boost the yield of the CVX token as well. And also for CVX CRV, we'll optimize the yield for users. You know, on CVX CRV, you can decide to have the yield in CRV and CVX, or in 3CRV, and you can make like a mix of those. You have a slider, and you can choose the percentage. We'll optimize it for the user, like choosing the best yield basically for the contract.
This is really cool. Before we go further into Convergence, I'd like to remind our nice audience that you feel free to comment either on X or YouTube, because we can read your comments and answer them directly during the stream. And obviously, please share and like the video, share the tweet to help us reach more audience. Yeah, that was it. Sorry for the interruption.
You're a pro, man. You're a pro.
I'm trying to improve on that field.
Yeah. So Wireshark, I've been following CVG for a while, and I just wanted to like break it down in very simple terms for the audience, because things get really complex when you start talking about liquid lockers and
I know
governance power and boosting, and people start losing all of the different. Why don't you explain like why someone would want a liquid locker, And, I mean, I understand, basic concepts that, obviously you want to retain the governance power. You still want to remain liquid. When you go over just a basic thing like for CVX, CVG, or whatever one of the liquid lockers that you guys currently offer. But why would someone actually want to use it? What would the purpose be? Why would someone want to use Convergence over other liquid lockers, per se?
Yeah. Long story short, it's all about the yield at the end of the day. I mean, for most users, it's all about the yield. And we, in that regard, we try to make the best financial engineering possible to, in the end, offer the best yield to users. Currently, if you look at CRV, Balancer, FXN, FXS as well, I think on Convergence, on the actual version, the StakeDAO integration, I think we have the best returns for all of this token across DeFi.
And that's something I noticed. And actually, Robo Odin just brought up CVG FXN, and I'm actually a little curious about that. Can you go over how exactly CVG FXN achieves the higher yield? Just kind of go through the math and how it happens, so that people might understand, like, even for me, like, just to refresh my memory on how that works.
Yes, sir. So the FXN contract is based on StakeDAO, and if you want to fully understand where the yield come from and why it's so high, you need to understand how StakeDAO works. And so on StakeDAO,
good luck there.
yeah. I mean,
okay, go ahead.
On StakeDAO liquid lockers, you keep the governance power. And it means that StakeDAO liquid lockers, they can actually get the yield from the vote incentive, right? Okay. So SDCRV gets the yield from vote incentive for CRV market. Same for Balancer, same for FXS, same for every liquid locker of StakeDAO. And what StakeDAO did to give value and utility to their token is that depending on how much SDT you lock, you will have those vote incentive boosted, just like you get the CRV emission boosted on Curve, for example. It's exactly the same system. Okay. So let's say that the vote incentive range you get from 30 to 80%. If you have no VESDT, you're gonna get 30%. If you get VESDT, depending on the amount, you'll have those 30% boosted up to 80%, like the maximum boost. And so, since we have quite a lot of VESDT, I think we are the third biggest holder right now. Hopefully, the top one soon. We basically socialize and offer that boost to every staking contract on Convergence. And so for FXN, for example, so we get the native wrap stake is yield. Then we have the boosted vote incentive yield, and the vote incentives are distributed in SDFXN. And then we have CVG emission on top. But currently, I think CVG emission don't make much of the yield. Yeah, it's like 40% of the yield, and even without CVG emission, we would have the best yield.
I see. So to clarify, right? So CVG or Convergence kind of lives. It's like a layer on top of StakeDAO.
Yes, sir.
And is able to offer that socialized boost to all of its liquid lockers. Is that how that works?
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And for example, we on a more globalized scale, I would say, we do the exact same thing as Concentrator for IASD-CRV. Because Concentrator, they paid people who delegate their VESDT to them by taking a cut on the yield, and that's how they achieve such high returns on ASD-CRV.
Interesting. So the key points are, you remain liquid, you earn all of the vote incentive yield, and all of the emission yield from the protocol. All in one shot. That's how you get the higher yields.
Yeah, and then the CVG emission, they depends on our gauge weights, because we have a V token as well. So the CVG emission will just depend on the market votes, basically.
Right. And I think it's one of those things where people don't really understand how powerful the governance is going to be, especially as a new bull run kind of rages in here. That People want to remain liquid. They want to still have voting power. You know, the Convex's model when it first started was, I would call it like 1.0 of the wrappers, right? It kind of, you had two choices. You had to lose your voting power or gain your, the yield, right? So this is sort of like an upgrade or an update to that model. So I think that as time rolls on, people will start realizing that, there are options out there for them to remain liquid and to still retain voting power.
Well, to be fully honest, on Convergence, you don't get the voting power of your token, because what happens in the background is that we delegate that voting power to StakeDAO, which will then vote to optimize the yield. So that's really
That's
focused
important.
on yeah.
Okay. So you give up the voting power in exchange for yield on the Convergence side.
Yeah, for the max yield. But although for example, that there is Reserve Protocol, which is a very heavy user of SDCRV, and they use it for the voting power.
I'm familiar with them. Obviously, yeah, they're using SD CRV.
Yep, using SDCRV combined with VSDT.
Right.
On the side, and they do it for the voting power and as well the old VSCVX as well.
Right. Interesting.
I feel like on the paper it looks like the best of both worlds. You get the voting power. I mean, you get at least its yield plus the boosted yield. But I think it's also important to remind our auditors that it's called liquid lockers, but it's not always very liquid because of market liquidity.
Right.
And is it something you can work on with the Convergence, like improve the SDCRV liquidity, for instance?
For the liquidity, I'm not sure, to be honest. What we did is that we improved some pegs when we launch, because what we do on Convergence when once deposit a liquid locker token, when you deposit the naked token, for example, if someone come with vanilla CRV, instead of minting SDCRV, we'll check in the pool if it will have more SDCRV than just by minting. So when you come with a naked token on Convergence, if it's more profitable for you to be rooted in the pool, we'll root you in the pool instead of minting token. And if you combine this with the model of StakeDAO is that when they distribute vote incentive as the SD token. So basically what they do is that they vote for vote incentive, they dump all the token, swap them to the underlying SD token, and distribute the SD token, which is a mechanism that really helps the peg to be maintained.
So I have a question. Does it make sense? And again, please excuse my ignorance. I just wanted to ask it. So does it make sense for protocols to own the SD version of the Liquid Locker, and then maybe retail to own the CVG version because it's more geared towards yield? And I think probably protocols prefer the voting power, or how would you say, like, what would you say your target market is? I'm just trying to kind of get an idea of that.
Yeah. It really depends, actually. It really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for governance power, you'll have to arbitrage between VLCVX or the SD token plus VESDT, managed on the side alone. If you're looking for yield, we definitely, currently in terms of pure APR, we are the best option on the market.
The highest, yeah. I've seen your numbers are always the highest. It makes sense. So yeah, I would think that for the most part, retail would be very attractive. Well, no, even protocols might be interested in higher yield for sure, but sometimes they end up needing the voting power too.
Yeah, and that's why I'm pretty happy that we're gonna integrate Convex, because the way we're gonna do it is that first we'll focus on yield, like offering high yield on CVG CVX. This way, hopefully, we'll gather a significant amount of VLCVX, and then when the meta governance will start, this voting power will be operated by MGCVG, our meta governance primitive, and all this voting power will get back to CVG. So it will obviously depends on the number, but like maybe if we gobbles enough CVX, maybe owning locked CVG will be the cheapest way to obtain voting power on Curve FX, Frax, Prisma, and as well StakeDAO.
Yeah,
Does it sound like an alpha?
it sounded like it.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I'm a big CVX guy. You know that. I'm kind of curious. So if I'm taking my CVX and I want to deposit it into CVG CVX, just tell me tell me what's happening under the hood. It's getting locked with Convex. I'm earning. I'm assuming I'm earning the bribe yield from VLCVX, right? And then there's emissions on top of that, and there's also. Can you just kind of go over that just so I understand what would happen on the Convex side?
Yes, sir. So yeah, obviously the token will be locked as VLCVX,
Right.
and will continuously lock, and the lock will be irreversible.
Right.
I mean, we may later add a redeem function just like PXCVX has, for example, but at the beginning it's not planned. So yeah, the yield will come from bribe votes, bribe emissions. The yield will come from a portion of the yield which is earned by the protocol own liquidity, because we intend to own most of the CVG CVX LP, right? So since we own this LP, we'll redirect a portion of this yield to CVG CVX to boost the yield.
So the yield on the LP comes back to the token holder. Okay, got that part.
A percentage.
You earn that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then CVG emission as well. And then we just recently found a little trick to direct back to CVG CVX also the yield of staked CVX. Because with CVX, you can not only lock it as VLCVX, you can also stake it. And when you stake CVX, you earn a share of platform fees as CVX CRV. And we just found a little financial engineering trick.
Little tweak.
Yeah, a little tweak, yeah, to direct back this yield to CVG CVX.
You guys don't realize the alpha there. Like that's major alpha. Like I've never seen anything where you can earn the actual bribe yield, the vote incentive yield, plus the actual staking yield. That's going to be really, really interesting to see. And I'm assuming the yields are going to be, I mean, that's. Way above 30% with emissions and LP. It's going to be over 30% for holding CVG CVX.
Yeah, on the paper we should have like quite decent yield. Yeah. Okay.
Now, what kind of so does CVG CVX lose its voting power? I assume it does, right?
It does. Voting power. It does. Right. Yeah. So at the beginning we will most likely not directly activate the meta governance process. So we'll use the VLCVX to kickstart the stuff, properly bootstrap it by voting for the best vote incentive, plus keeping some voting power to feed the stable pool to redirect a part of the yield. And even once the meta governance will be activated, we'll take a 20% tax on the voting power to keep feeding the stable pool with the VLCVX salting. In addition to classic bribing.
So there's liquidity for the token too, so that it can. That's what you're using the voting power to create liquidity for the pool.
Yeah. The idea is to like cut a piece of the voting power to like basically incentivize. So the product will incentivize itself, kind of.
And so Convergence will also be optimizing the votes too as well.
Yeah, when the meta governance will not be activated, we'll look for higher returns for users, obviously. So it depends, because like we obviously need to run the math in real time. But there is a world where the highest yield isn't achieved by voting for best vote incentive, but by voting for our stable pool, collecting the yield back, and give back the yield to CVG CVX. That's an option.
That's interesting.
We'll need to see this like in real time.
Well, we're going to be seeing a lot higher yields for CVX in the future as this happens. So I totally am. I'm excited. I'm fascinated by it. It's amazing work that you guys have been doing.
Many thanks, sir. Much appreciated.
Absolutely, and obviously we support you guys. Help you get the message out, to other people, especially CVX holders.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. And also another source of yield for CVG CVX is a portion of the fees we'll take on Frax LPs once the Frax LPs will be added. Probably the integration will be done in 2 times. First, CVG CVX and CVX CRV staking, and then we'll add the Frax LP later because it needs some proper due diligence on which LP we should take, because like we can add like 10 LP at the same time, because we would need 10 liquid lockers. So we'll do it step by step and by taking the best candidate for doing this.
Interesting.
And speaking of convex integration, is there a chance you could at some point integrate convex on FX as well? Since you guys are collecting FXN and SD FXN.
Yeah, once again, we couldn't boost the yield from convex FX because, like, for example, there is no LP locking that would give you some boost or whatever. Although what could be done, it would be more something like convenient, I'd say, because on convex FX you need to create like a personal vault before staking. We could socialize the personal vault. That's the only thing we could do. So this way, you wouldn't have to create a vault and pay some more gas. But overall, unless we find some yield elsewhere to direct back to the staking contract, I'm not sure. Although one thing that is possible is that I think at some point StakeDAO will integrate the rebalancing pools from FX, and
I believe that's the plan.
Yeah, and then we'll plug those on Convergence as well once they have SDT emission. So we may see the rebalance pool available for depositing on Convergence.
But more on top of StakeDAO than Convex then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But although with that story of personal vault, I'm not sure. But maybe that StakeDAO can deploy only boost for FX protocol, but not sure.
What only boost is again?
So only boost, it's a feature from StakeDAO, which basically will take your deposit and it will split the deposit between Convex or StakeDAO depending on who gets the highest boost.
Highest boost,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really interesting. So you always know you're always going to get the highest boost no matter what.
Yeah.
Because it's not always about where you go, right? So Convex doesn't always provide the highest boost because it doesn't always have to do the way the VE tokenomics work. Having the most VE or CRV doesn't actually get you the highest boost in every scenario.
Yep.
So I guess this has some kind of way of balancing between both options, which is pretty interesting too.
Basically, it balanced between both and it socialized the old stuff. And then on StakeDAO, where only boost is activated, you can earn civics as well, and that's also the case on Convergence. So some of the deposits on Convergence ends up being on Convex actually, like currently, and you can earn like the CVG emission atop the CRV, the SDT, and the civics emission,
and the FXN.
Not on the curve LP.
Not on the curve.
Yeah.
Why not? I must have missed something, but on the curve LPs on the FX curve LPs, there are FXN emissions.
Yeah.
On Convex.
Yeah, but
because there's a double gauge system.
Yeah, but Convex curve only for only boost. No, not Convex.
It only works for the curve. It's only for CRV, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah. Sorry, that's the part I missed.
Again, it's it's complicated.
It gets pretty complicated at the end of the day. Yeah.
Man, hearing you a few minutes earlier, I was thinking that's Inception. Again, all the systems are getting folded between each other. It's just crazy.
It is, but the thing is that when you keep adding like layers with V tokenomics and the possibility of boosting the yield, you can add layers and layers and layers, and that's pretty much why we don't have the boost on CVG emission. ID being to be the final layer kind of. But there is financial engineering to be done. But I think. I mean, we already facing this difficulty where we need to abstract complexity for users. That's probably that's a challenge we have right now. Like make the whole thing digestible, understandable, and try to abstract the complexity that's behind. That's not an easy job, though.
It's
Yeah,
not. It's not easy.
I believe that's the problem most DeFi projects have, and that's a double problem because you on one hand you have to abstract the complexity and make sure your product is easy to understand, but on the other hand, the whole concept of DeFi is being responsible of your assets and understanding what's going on and what risk you're taking to make sure you stay responsible of your assets. And
Right.
so you have to kind of make things simple while giving the whole information so that people can decide responsibly. Responsibly. Yeah, you got my point.
Yeah, tell that to as eat leverager. I think they need to hear this.
Yeah, probably. But people tend to learn the lessons the hard way,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, in terms of security, I think we are, of course, we'll live it's not too long, but we didn't have any security issue. But for this kind of boosting layers such as Convex Tech DAO us, in terms of like security, I think it's really quite okay. Like we're not really exposed to I don't know, oracles or some stuff like that. So on that side, it's quite okay. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with what you said. Like giving the users enough info to decide by themselves, basically, and not just like see a high APR and ape it like without understanding what's going on. Obviously, you can do it, but it's way better if you understand what the fuck is going on the background. So yeah,
Definitely. Okay. One quick question about going back to CVG, CVX for a second. You mentioned that there was a way to, is there a way to receive the CVX back? Like, is there a way to, or is there an unlock mechanism, or is there going to be a CVG, CVX pool?
Yeah, CVG is cool.
Yeah, how is that going to work as far as the liquidity goes? Is there going to be a way to get the CVX back in return, and how long would that take?
Well, pretty much the same thing that stable pool that we currently see. Obviously, we'll plug it on Convergence, so it gets the extra CVG emission atop the CRV, the CVX. We'll bribe the pool, obviously, and as I said, we'll use a percentage of the VLCVX voting power to vote for this pool. And if needed, if the peg suffer too much, will most likely end up adding like a hard redemption mechanism, where you're getting like put on a queue list, and then you'll be able to redeem 1-1.
Okay, so there's both options. It's not like the CVX is locked in for life. It's
for now.
retrievable.
For now, it's definitely the goal. We can upgrade the contract afterwards, but it won't be in the contract that will ship.
Okay, so yeah, all right, that makes sense. So there will be an option for redemption, even if it's in a queue, and
yeah, if
at the same time there'll be a pool for people who want to just swap.
Yeah. If the pay is getting too much destroyed, that's what we intend to do. But again, we like with that little twist we have for getting back the yield of staked CVX. There is also some peg defense mechanism involved in that.
Right.
Because
some of it has to be staked, so some of it is actually liquid, right?
No. I mean, like I can't.
Oh, you can't. Okay, got it. Too much alpha.
Yeah. I can't reveal how it's going to be done.
Got it.
Why too much? Why too much?
But
I'm going into the deep dive here, like how he's getting the yield and like.
What I can say though is that a portion of the CVX CRV will be earning. Will be used to feed a CVG staking contract, because as you can see now on Convergence, we have simple staking, like no locking, simple staking. And this yield will be used to feed a staking contract where you can earn CVG CVX by staking CVG. And this will act as a peg defense mechanism, while increasing the yield of in CVX CRV we'll get. So we'll have all the contract in the screen, which is just been shown.
Thank you for the response. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, that makes me feel comfortable that there's going to be some options as far as liquidity goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
so,
always the goal for this. It's always to like properly balance the yield of the single site staking and the stable pool yield, basically. So we will have to be good in adjusting not adjusting, but making sure that the yield of the stable pool will be attractive enough to get some people helping with us, basically. Because at some point, if we want to scale, it can be only protocol on liquidity. It needs to as well be other LPs, and just like the same system we have for CVGSDT right now. I think we own like 50%, 60% of the CVGSDT SDT liquidity.
I just wanted to ask maybe Wireshark. With all of this discussion, I actually have a few questions, but maybe the first one would be: do I understand it correctly that the more SD tokens you guys lock, the higher the boost will get on SDFXN?
No, actually, if the amount of VESDT we have doesn't increase, the more SD token we get, the lower the boost will go. And in order to keep with higher TVL, you need more VSDT locked, basically. That's quite simple.
Okay, so it's not it's not like a one-way street to like Valhalla.
Yeah, and then it also depends on the global TVL of the contract. Like for example, we'll keep a 2.5 boost on CRV longer than on other asset because there is a lot of SD CRV staked out. So the way the V boost system works, it depends on the V token amount, it depends on the total liquidity of the pool, and it depends on the share that you have on this liquidity. It has like quite a lot of parameter to be taken into account for the boost.
Yeah, okay. And then maybe you guys do not have like a redeem mechanism for like staked out token, right?
No, because staked out doesn't have one. It's just like Civic CRV.
Yeah, okay. And then yeah, I also really wouldn't like do it for Convex, to be honest. I think personally I always wonder with these new layers, like where is there actual value being created and where it's just like some financial trickery, basically, you know. And I feel like each protocol that really perma locks is like a really value creation to the entire stack, actually. So I would just in general not aim to do it, to be honest. But it's up to you guys, of course. Like everybody can choose for themselves, because I think this is also like, for example, imagine you have like curve and then something that locks curve, then they can kind of make a choice to like not really fight for the peg hard. These kind of variable choices actually,
Yeah.
and then you could have like a protocol on top of it that like logs that protocol and then also makes those choices and also makes a redeem choice. And I think like the max yield stack will be the one that has like the worst liquidity, basically, just like from a game theory perspective. So I'm a big fan of that because I'm a degen and I ape without knowing how it works. So, but yeah, just some general thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. I think at the end of the day, though, like protocol really have an interest into like pay attention to the peg and to the sanity of the product, the health of the product, because, well, I mean, it's not only numbers, it's also like credibility. If
trust.
yeah, definitely. Like if you make a liquid locker and you have a shitty peg for over like too long, I mean, it gets complicated kind of. So that's really responsibility from protocols.
I totally agree with that. And on the peg matter, there's also something to consider. There's the liquidity issue, but there's also the design issue because, for instance, CVX CRV can't have the same peg as SD CRV, for instance, because you don't get the voting power because you give it to CVX. So the token is yet liquid, but has less interest and less inherent yield. So of course it can't be pegged perfectly pegged. and it has to have a worse peg than SDCRV that actually gives a portion of voting power. So
Right. It's just a value thing. It's part of the design.
Yep.
That's why
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting to see all these new designs coming out, because they're going to help with PEG. They're going to help with, with voting. They're going to help with aggregating all of these different revenue sources, like the staking yield and the voting incentive income. It's just going to be. I think we're at a point now in the market where these tokens are going to start mattering much more than they did before, because people do need to incentivize. They do need to lock. They need to use these meta governance tokens to actually improve the liquidity for their pools. So I think we're going to see a resurgence on a lot of these types of tokens. But I've been saying that for the last 18 months. So
No, I think it will come, because liquidity matters. Liquidity matters in DeFi, and I think we can even see some kind of new dimension to the curve wars with Llama Land. Because with Llama Land, if you get a market to borrow CRV USD against your asset, protocol may want the users to be able to borrow CVX CRV and benefit from the soft liquidation mechanism. And so protocol may end up bribing lenders in the CRV USD pool in Llama Land. So we may actually see a whole new dimension to the curve wars, where protocol bribes for liquidity in the pools, but also for liquidity on the lending market.
I think you're right, 100%.
That's my 2 cents.
And we haven't even talked about the fees generated by CRV USD. So there's so many different dimensions here that.
I think at some point the demand for soft liquidation will be pretty high.
Very, very high.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're already seeing forks of the CRV USD system being used in other areas, and
Lambda Finance, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the direction I think we're going in, and I think we're going to see a new age of the curve wars 2.0.
Yeah, that's a breakthrough. Soft liquidation are definitely a breakthrough. And
how? Sorry.
No, go ahead, sir.
You say soft liquidation is the breakthrough, but how about no liquidation? Heard of this?
Oh yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, no, definitely as well.
Cyril likes to plug it in whenever he can,
Yeah, I just love FX protocol, and I'd like to remind our nice audience how cool FX protocol is.
But by the way, for FX, so I have a global understanding of the system, but what would be the nightmare scenario? Would it be possible for FX to break somehow? I don't know, because I don't know the design as much as I should actually. Is there a worst case scenario, something terrible that can happen? What is it?
I guess there always is a worst case scenario when we talk about DeFi. And it's also important to not only tell about the cool stuff, but there could be a worst case scenario, and it would probably be a very sudden market move to the south, really hardcore.
Yeah,
and that would lead our X token to 0. And at that point, if the rebalance pool are not big enough to rebalance the protocol, then the stable coins would become not stable. So they would follow the underlying volatility.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the worst case scenario, I guess.
How much of a red knife we?
Something though, Cyril, that I think we keep missing, and I think is important to share. So that certainly the X token holders would lose all of their value, right? So when we keep saying there's no liquidation, right? Zero liquidations. There is no liquidations because from a day-to-day perspective, you're not really worried about liquidations from moment to moment. But if ETH dropped 70% in one day and the X token holder absorbed all of that impact, could zero out completely, then the rest of the burden would be on the F side or on the stable pair side. Now, what would happen if the collateral ratio went down even below the 100%? You ended up with say 70% value in some worst case, some apocalyptic scenario where Ethereum is trading at $500 or something like that. Then what would happen is the token holder, the stable token holder would still have a claim to the underlying asset, whether that be Ethereum, Lido staked ETH, whether it be one of the
Bitcoin.
we just saw yesterday. Yeah, so there would never be a Luna type of event. So the stable coin holder would always have a claim to the underlying asset, even if the asset is $500. So it's not like Luna in that it would just go to zero and that's it, you go home, you're done.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be a different type of situation. So I think it's definitely a more palatable situation if something really, really bad happened like that. But that would require ETH going to $500 to really, or some really, really, really low price. Like, for example, yesterday, I don't know if you want to mention, but yesterday there was the big event with Renzo ETH, right? And, Renzo ETH backs RUSD, and it dropped 50% in a flash crash, right? And we didn't see anything happen with the way FX RUSD design was designed. So it held the PED completely, 100%, and the X token holders didn't get liquidated. They dropped, certainly, obviously, for a moment, and then they bounced right back up. So I think the design is very novel. It's very interesting, and it's certainly very resilient compared to other designs. Other designs would have had this in complete liquidation mode if we had seen what happened yesterday happen to other systems.
Can I ask something, guys? By the way, like if the peg was even like more severe, would it have been like more like dangerous for our USD holders? Like if it would have gone down like, I don't know, 80%.
I think it's more a matter of duration as well. It's how sudden it is, how big it is, and how sudden it is, and if it lasts as well. Because if the market recovers quickly, I think there's no
people don't have time to react to it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really affect much, except for the value on, for that moment of time. But if it were to persist for a long period of time, then people would obviously be redeeming and would cause a much different type of an event. So, I think it has to do with duration and it has to do with depth. So you would have to see, obviously even greater than a 50% decrease in ETH or whatever the asset might be. And it would have to last a little bit longer than what we saw last night with Renzo ETH. We'd have, which I think only lasted a few minutes. So it'd have to be hours or days, or for it to really be a bigger problem.
And please remind that FX protocol uses a swap price. So if the DPEG is very sudden, the swap won't ever get the lowest price. So.
What kind of oracle? What kind of oracle does FX use? Actually,
it uses different kind of oracles, chaining swap price, and also huge pools prices, if I recall correctly. But
I believe it's using a combination of the pools price, like the curve pools.
Yeah, so it uses price oracle most likely, right?
But it compares them to spot price and also the TWAP for 30-minute TWAP.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different design.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
I sometimes think about it like this. Imagine if you open a 3x long on ETH on Coinbase or something. Of course, if the price goes down, you can incur financial loss. Your balance of $100 can go to zero, right? Like if you open a 100x, if you open a X ETH position on FX, it's like if the price goes down, you can also incur financial loss being leveraged.
Yes,
so
definitely
can
incur financial
and that's
loss.
basically that risk basically pays for the no liquidation, no maintenance fees, no I don't know how you call it, but to keep your trade open, basically.
Yeah, there's no funding fee on the Ethereum-based pairs. There's a little funding on the BTC USD pair, but it's way lower than what you would pay on a SEX on a per position. So yeah, you can occur loss, of course, because you're taking leverage on the underlying. So you can occur
Yeah.
loss, but you don't have to manage the risk of being of getting a margin call or
Yeah,
stuff like that.
you can hold the position for years and
Yeah,
without paying
definitely.
any fees, and that's definitely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Except from the XBTC,
Yeah, yeah.
which has a small funding. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
How
it's seamless. It's seamless because it's I'm looking for the word, but it's integrated
like
into the X
seamless.
token NAV. So you're not actually paying. It's just impacted on the NAV of the X token. So it's
Right.
you pay for it, but it's seamless.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is you don't really have to deal with making a payment or worrying about your position, or worrying about a token that
So it's mutualized for BTC USD, right? I mean, for XWBTC, the the funding. Okay.
Yeah, I think if I'm getting it correctly, the answer is yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
mutualized.
Yeah, makes sense actually. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just like if you ask like what's the worst case scenario, it's like price goes down, leveraged people lose value, I think. But that's like pretty normal for any leveraged long you have.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then we have all of the other benefits. So I think that kind of like balances it properly. And it's like really fringe, like CryptoVestor explained.
Right. You definitely have a risk of losing value with an X token. It's not without any risk, but you have the percentage of risk is so much lower compared to being in a 10x long or 100x long or whatever, because there, whatever slight price movement can just throw you into a liquidation. Here, you literally requires, a seismic type of event to even create some type of an issue with peg or with a liquidation or with your value going to zero. So I'm happy knowing, like for me, and this is not financial advice, but from my perspective, I can hold an X token and know that, Ethereum is probably going to go to $10,000 in the next few months, and it might take some time to get there, and there'll be bumps along the way, but I can hold that token for a period of time, a year and a half, whatever it takes, and I can exit out at the top if I wanted to. And I don't feel that confident with being able to maintain leverage positions, on a traditional centralized exchange or anything like that. So for people like me, it's a win. I can hold that token, I can keep it in my wallet, I can keep it on a Trezor, and at the same time, I know I'm getting an added piece of leverage. It may not always be as much leverage as I'd like it to be, but I know I'm always getting more than than the bear price of Ethereum. So that's how I'm kind of that's my approach, or my view or perspective on it.
Yeah, and is there a plan for more LP against X token? Because it may be like an additional way to even mitigate more the fluctuation, the volatility from X token if they get paired against, I don't know, ETH, stablecoin, whatever, for the liquidity providers. That
You
would
mean
be
like having more pairs? Like
yeah. You have like an additional edge to the volatility. Actually, that may be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, we're definitely always looking and talking to different partners and trying to pair up with them as well, for sure. We're always looking for that. And so I think there will be more in the future for sure.
And then we can integrate those in Convergence pretty easily, sirs.
Can you develop a little bit? Because why would you get a lower volatility on X token if you minted it in the first place?
I don't know. I'm just like thinking out. Maybe it doesn't make sense actually.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm just curious. I just don't want to trick you here, but just thinking out loud the same way. So, but yeah, maybe I guess it depends on market conditions, because at the moment leverages are pretty low. But at some point it could be way higher, and you may want to kind of temper it down.
Yeah,
I don't know.
In what situation the leverage will go way higher on X token? By the way,
if there's a lot of demand on the stable side, so
yeah.
if there's lots of stable staked into the lots of stable minted,
Yeah.
and a huge demand on the stable side, then the X tokens leverage go higher.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
And that's
So you can
all
imagine
a
if there's-
balanced system.
Yeah, so you can imagine when you're using vote incentives to get these pools higher liquidity, that you're pulling FXUSD, for example, FXUSD out of the system. You're basically, you're creating a lot of demand for the F side, which is increasing the leverage on the other side. So, and then at the same time, you're getting a lot of people who are interested in that high leverage because everybody's bullish now, right? Everybody's in this, ape mentality. So there's a lot of people that are willing to take on the extra leverage as well, which helps cushion the stablecoin side as well.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting novel mechanism.
I think the market will arbitrage this anyway, and we'll probably end up seeing like the leverage being quite stable actually in terms of numbers.
Yeah,
because the market will definitely arbitrage it and just supply.
I believe long run, yeah, they'll be pretty stable. But there might be some at some point. I know that Charlene has mentioned doing fixed leverage, and so there might be options or ways for FX to do different types of designs to where there could be a predetermined amount of leverage for tokens. So that'll be interesting to watch too. There's a little bit of alpha.
As always.
I don't know when it's coming because we're really busy, but
yeah,
I'm sure. I know it's been mentioned in the chat. So
okay, cool. I think that's a pretty good time to wrap up this space. Maybe if there are last minute questions in the chat, feel free to ask. And in the meantime, if you haven't yet, please follow the A-Team DeFi and Protocol FX, and of course Convergence's Twitters, and share this space if you enjoyed it, because it helps us a lot. On my concern, I had a really good time with you guys, and I had a lot of fun with all the captions and stuff with discovering Restream.
No,
you're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, good job.
Yes, sir.
I really have
an honor to have you as an host.
Like the guy knows how to explore features of an app. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't wait.
Live and properly.
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
And thank you, Wireshark, for coming on and explaining Convergence to us a little bit, and having conversation about liquid lockers is always fun.
Yep. Thank you for hosting me, guys. It was a pleasure as always, and looking forward for the next time. Much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Thanks for coming. By the way, guys, check out the Igniters program on Convergence as well.
Yep, good idea.
How do you say it? The what program?
Igniter.
It's like their
Igniters
version of,
program. Okay.
it's like their version of Booster program.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
You're probably on it, Cyril, and you don't know.
Am I?
I think the A-Team was on it actually.
There's a good chance. There's a
Okay.
good chance you're on
I
it.
didn't know that.
Wireshark, why don't you
that.
tell people how to reach you? I guess they can find you on Twitter and.
Well, I don't have like a personal Twitter account, but you can find me on Discord very easily. I'm quite responsive usually, and Telegram as well.
Telegram. Okay. Excellent.
Yes, sir.
All right. I think
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining.
Really
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. And till next time.
Thanks.
Thank
for
Thank you,
coming.
guys.
Thanks.
All of you.
Much appreciated.
Have a good evening or rest of the day or whatever. And see you probably next week for another A-Team space.
Amen.
Bye-bye.
Great job,
Bye, everyone.
Great job hosting, Cyril, really.
Great job.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks
Bye-bye.
everyone for tuning in. Bye.